everybody, it's the Lawn Gnome, and welcome to another DCU update. I am always excited to return to you and talk about the newest addition in the DC animated film library, and it is quite impressive because ever since these first films started coming out back in 2007, it is just amazing to see how far the worlds that Bruce Timm had built and given to us ever since Batman the Animated Series has grown. And it is also amazing to see just how fast this DC animated film library has grown, because today we're going to be talking about the first installment of the 42nd film, which is Batman the Long Halloween. And this, of course, is based on the iconic and beloved graphic novel, which was written by Jeff Loeb and illustrated so beautifully and uniquely by Tim Sale. And because of its popularity, it did spin off a second series called Batman Dark Victory, and ever since I read The Long Halloween, I have actually decided that I'm going to read Dark Victory, and my copies are actually on the way in the mail as we speak. So, yes, I referred to this and the follow-up, which is part 2 of The Long Halloween. Of course, we're going to be talking about part 1 today. But because of the fact that this is the third two-parter film that eventually they will combine into one film, that is the reason why I will not call them movies 42 and 43. So I gotta say that when they officially announced that The Long Halloween was going to become a film, was I skeptical? No, not really, because even though we all know what happened with the Alan Moore classic from 1994, Batman the Killing Joke, even though it did see Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill return to voice Batman and the Joker, the film left many fans much to be desired. But when you take a look at films like Batman The Dark Knight Returns, maybe there is definitely some hope. And I will say that while The Long Halloween Part 1 is definitely a good movie, you are definitely going to see a lot of things that are different if you are a fan of the graphic novel, but please pay them no mind, because these changes that they make for the film truly do work in this film. Now, I know that there are a couple of people that are also nitpicking some of the character animations, but when you take a look at the animated film as a whole, it is absolutely gorgeous, especially the backgrounds. They are truly goth, horror-themed. They really do fit the noir feel of this story, because that is, I think, why The Long Halloween is such a favorite amongst many Batman fans, because it is truly unlike any other Batman story in the history of this character's franchise. It is very detective-oriented. It is very noir, very dark, no holds barred, and I'm very, very glad that even though they did make some cinematic changes, they still kept that exact vibe that you felt while you were reading the comic. The voice cast really does play a big role in moving those elements in a positive light, like Josh Duhamel voicing Harvey Dent, and of course Jensen Ackles returning to lend his voice to Batman this time, because the first time he did join the DC animated world, he voiced the Red Hood, also known as Jason Todd, in Batman Under the Red Hood. And if you have not seen that animated film yet, what are you doing? You have got to go see that animated film. It is probably one of the greatest Batman animated films, or possibly one of the greatest Batman films ever made, period. If you are a Christopher Nolan fan, by the way, you are definitely going to see a lot of things that he took from Batman The Long Halloween. Whether it was the atmosphere or the characters like Carmine Falcone and Salvatore Maroni, these are the comics where these characters were first introduced and really expanded upon in the world of Batman. People also need to realize that Batman The Long Halloween is actually a story that, in the lore of Batman, is supposed to take place right after year 1. So this is actually supposed to be year 2 of Batman. So if you have read Batman Year 1, the great story from Frank Miller, and also if you've seen the film, which is also a very well done animated film in the library, you're definitely going to get a better understanding. But there is truly so much to appreciate and enjoy. Even Troy Baker, who voices the Joker, yes, he does sound very much like Mark Hamill, but Mark Hamill does not always fit in these truly dark, dramatic films, but in this case, even though it's not Mark Hamill, that voice is very familiar. The Joker really does fall perfectly into this story, because as someone who has also read the graphic novel, he does have a pretty crazy story in this 13-issue graphic novel set, so the fact that you could get that familiar voice into that Joker, it really does make sense to do that. But I really appreciate everything about this first installment because it really does capture everything that the graphic novel gave us back in 1996, even though I read it for the first time just a few months ago. Let's just say that this is a movie that I want to rewatch, especially anticipating part 2. Thank goodness it is coming out very, very soon. It's coming out in just a month and a half, so I want to watch the first part again. I want to reread the comics again. And if you are actually watching me and my friends over at That's Comical, let me just say that Batman The Long Halloween is going to be playing an integral part of the content that we are going to be giving to you over there in the next couple of months. So I will definitely be putting a link to the channel below, especially if you are a comic book fan and an manga fan. This is a channel that I really think that you will appreciate. We all love what we do over there. But yeah, I would say that Batman The Long Halloween, if you've never read the comic, if you have read the comic and loved the comic, I truthfully feel that you are going to appreciate this film. And yes, I cannot finish this video without talking about the fact that Naya Rivera does in fact voice Catwoman, but we all do know that she recently passed away, and it's a very sad thing to hear. But the fact that she unfortunately left us too soon, the fact that she was able to actually classify this as her final project, that's honestly a very positive thing. Check out Batman The Long Halloween. You will really enjoy it. Watch it again if you do enjoy it. I know that I will. Definitely one of the better animated Batman films that I have seen, and like I said, very excited for part 2, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next one. If you enjoyed the video you just watched, feel free to leave a comment. Also, feel free to subscribe if you want to be up to date with our latest videos. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you in the next one. Actions speak louder than words.